Welcome to the NHL Wraparound podcast featuring Neil Smith, President General Manager of the 1994 Stanley Cup champion New York Rangers, and longtime ESPN NHL veteran Vic Morin. Together, they share no-nonsense opinions on news and issues around the National Hockey League. Whether you're a casual or diehard fan, each episode of NHL Wraparound will leave you more informed. Now, here's your hosts, Neil and Vic.
This is the human side of the story, brought to you by the Game 7 Group. Another season underway, 32 teams hopeful to play for the Stanley Cup, and perhaps, once again, we see a Game 7. Because Game 7 has a magic attached to it like nothing in sport. In order to prevail, teamwork is essential to achieving success. At the Game 7 Group, transforming individuals into cohesive teams is the core philosophy in their team-building approach. Their belief is every team has potential to achieve extraordinary results. Game 7 Group offers various services to help teams accomplish their goals through specific team-building events, coaching, and speaking engagements. These services are aimed at improving team dynamics, productivity, and overall performance. Face it, we all want to be able to succeed in the big moment. Check out the Game 7 Group website at game7group.com/NHL Wraparound to learn more. Right now, a special incentive offer awaits our podcast listeners. Take your team to the next step. The Game 7 Group will get you there. And, Neil, as a new season starts, as a fan growing up, you know that now you are locked in for the next 8.5 months with great entertainment. And coming from the television production world, you were always looking to how you were going to weave that thread of storylines throughout the course of a season. But for a GM, you've worked all summer, you have now built your team, and now the fruits of that labor are starting to come through. What is it like having been a GM and anticipating the season?
Vic, the best way to describe this for listeners is to talk about a Broadway show. And in a Broadway show, the producer, director gets all the people together, gets all the performers together, the actors together, works on the play for a long, long time, tries to get the right people in place, tries to get the right choreography, get this thing completely buttoned down. And then when the curtain goes up, you're just one of the audience. And there's nothing more you can do. You've done everything you can do, and you hope that that product is what you thought it would be. So what a general manager does in the National Hockey League is from the moment his team is eliminated, whether they miss the playoffs, whether they go out in one of the rounds of the playoffs, or even if they win the Stanley Cup, as soon as that's over, his work starts again to go and improve the club as much as he possibly can from that day up until the season opener that next season. And as E.J. Raddick said earlier, it is like a puzzle, and you're trying to get the right pieces to fit in the right place in that puzzle. And you're working hard to do that. You've also taking losses. Every team now takes losses. So imagine you've got a puzzle and you think you only need 2 pieces to finish it, and then 3 pieces leave. So now you got 5 pieces that you got to replace in there. And you hope that your work in previous years in developing, drafting and developing has produced pieces that might be able to step into those spots on that puzzle. But as I said, the hardest part about it is when that puck drops on the opening night, you're just sitting up in the press box with a box of popcorn.
And there are 32 GMs doing it right now. And fortunately, you're one of only 40 men that have been GMs of Stanley Cup champions. So With that, we're going to wrap up this episode of NHL Wraparound. We want to thank EJ Raddick, and thanks to the Game 7 Group for sponsoring us. And thank you to our listeners. We look forward to a long season ahead with you. Send questions or comments to nhlwraparound@gmail.com. And don't forget our website, nhlwraparound.com. All of our episodes available on audio and video. Now, next week, the ECHL comes to NHL Wraparound as we welcome the first African-American majority owners of a professional hockey team when former NFL star Miles Jack and his mom LJ join us. We look forward to seeing you then.
Thanks for joining us on the NHL Wraparound podcast. Don't forget to subscribe to stay up to date on all the NHL action.